Welcome to all. Today we will speak, in this video, of the theme of alien kidnappings, a topic that has intrigued and fascinated humanity since the dawn of the time. For years we have been talking about abductions by extraterrestrial beings, but what are the evidence and testimonies of these events? In this video we will try to deepen the question, analyzing different theories and hypotheses on the subject. So, without further delay, we start our journey into the mysterious world of alien kidnappings. On October 16, 1957, Antonio Villas-Boas, a 23-year-old farmer, was plowing fields near his farm when he noticed a strong red light in the sky. The light approached and landed on the fields with the help of 3 metal legs. Villas-Boas tried to escape on his tractor, but the vehicle suddenly stopped, leaving him on foot. At that moment, he was intercepted by a 1.5-meter-tall humanoid, with a helmet and small blue eyes, who was soon joined by 2 other aliens. Villas-Boas was dragged and taken aboard the spaceship, where he was stripped, covered with a strange gel, and exposed to gaseous substances that made him sick. He was then transported beyond a circular door adorned with curious symbols that he himself could reproduce. Finally, he was sexually seduced by a particularly attractive alien and, after a tour of the ship, was released 4 hours after the abduction, wearing his clothes. Villas-Boas turned to the press and the authorities began to verify his story. It was recognized that he had undergone anomalous exposure to radiation from an unidentified source. His ability to remember the details of the abduction without the aid of hypnosis was remarkable and, along with other evidence, supported the veracity of his testimony. After the abduction experience, Villas-Boas became a lawyer, married, and had 4 children. In September 19, 1961, Mr. and Mrs. Hill were returning to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, after a trip to Canada. On the return trip, they noticed a strange light in the sky and stopped to observe it better. After continuing their journey, the light began to follow them and approached their car until it covered it with its light. Barney, armed with a gun and binoculars, saw humanoid beings looking out of the porthole of the unidentified flying object. Subsequently, the Hills reported being abducted by the aliens and subjected to numerous physical tests before being released. During regressive hypnosis sessions, Betty drew a star map that was identified as the Zeta Reticuli system. However, skeptics noted some similarities between the events recounted by the Hill and some depictions of aliens featured in a television episode of The Outer Limit, broadcast shortly before the abduction, and attributed the mapping of Zeta Reticuli with what Betty had seen in a planetarium long before. The abduction of Betty Andrea's son Luke describes the event that took place on January 25, 1967, during which Betty Andrea's son and her family were visited by 5 humanoid figures in their home in South Ashburnham, Massachusetts. After the lights went out and a red-orange light filtered through the kitchen window, the visitors paralyzed all the family members except Betty, with whom they made telepathic contact. Betty was taken aboard a vehicle that later joined a larger craft, where she met other aliens. 4 hours later, she was brought back home, and the aliens told her that they conveyed some knowledge that she would understand only later. Betty interpreted the encounter as a divine message, attributing an angelic component to the aliens. Under regressive hypnosis, both Betty and her daughter Becky described the aliens with eerie accuracy, and Ray Fowler, founder of the Mutual UFO Network and head of the hypnotic sessions, has conducted a decade-long investigation into this case. Either Betty Andrea's son is the most skilled liar and seasoned actress the world has ever seen, or she has really gone through this incredible odyssey. The kidnapping of Travis Walton recounts the event that occurred on November 5, 1975, when 22-year-old logger Travis Walton and his colleagues were returning from work with the United States Forest Service. As they were traveling in a van through the forest, they were stopped by a glowing, plate-shaped flying object that stopped them in their tracks. Despite warnings from his colleagues, Walton got out and approached the glowing object, getting hit by a beam of light. When his colleagues returned, Walton was gone, but reappeared 5 days later in a precarious physical condition. Walton told of being transported aboard an alien craft where he encountered extraterrestrial creatures and struggled against them, before being released and returning to Earth. The case was highly controversial, with Walton failing a polygraph test completely, and many argued that his story was fiction. However, the film Flashes in the Dark, 1993, recounts Walton's abduction by taking the side of the kidnapped young man. The Kidnapping of Allagash chronicles the experience of 4 friends who find themselves in Allagash, Maine, to spend a few days in the outdoors. During a night fishing trip, the boys notice a glowing orb approaching their canoes and enveloping them with a beam of light. Confused and frightened, the boys flee and return home, forgetting the incident. However, in the following years, some of them begin to have frequent headaches and nightmares, so they decide to undergo regressive hypnosis sessions. During these sessions, the boys revealed that they were transported aboard the flying craft and that 1976 was not their first encounter with aliens, as they had already had similar experiences in their childhood. The Kidnapping of Kursan Ilyumzhinov event is about an unusually involving a prominent Russian politician named Kursan Ilyumzhinov. During a television broadcast in 2010, Kursan claimed that he was abducted in 1997 by humanoid beings dressed in yellow space clothes and taken to their spaceship through a semi-transparent tube. According to Kursan, the aliens' goal was not to study him but to make contact with other intelligent life forms. In addition, Kursan also claimed that those aliens were responsible for bringing the game of chess to Earth, which Kursan is an avid player and president of FIDE, the nation's leading chess federation. The article suggests that Kursan's passion for chess may be the reason why the chess aliens chose him as their abductee. And so we come to the end of our video. We hope to have provided you with an interesting and stimulating overview of the phenomenon of alien kidnappings. As we have seen, it is a very controversial topic, and this is only the beginning to deepen the question. If you have opinions or stories to share, we will be happy to hear your contribution in the comments.